the Sci-Fi Channel showed parts 4 and 5 on their channel at one point in Halloween. And looking at the stack here, looks like we're about to get in some very obscure territory. And that's the Shokorama Cinema titles. And I'm actually going to start with this one, which is Zombie Doom, which is actually 2 movies. It's the title is very misleading because this is actually the 3rd Violent Shit movie. It's Violent Shit 3 Zombie Doom, which has zombies in it, some great special effects. It makes me want to see the other 2 movies before it, but very interesting film. Very low budget, but the special effects are really good for being low budget. The story gets a little a little out there sometimes, but it's not a bad film, I would say. And these films were both directed by Andreas Schnaas, a great, crazy German director who, like me, is a fan of Joe D'Amato. In fact, he went on to make either remake or another sequel to Anthropophagus, which I really want to see, because I think he would do a great job of it and honor D'Amato's work with that one. But I'm getting off topic. This also has Zombie 90 Extreme Pestilence on it, which, even lower budget, even more cheeky than and tongue-in-cheek than Zombie Doom. And the overdub is horrible. The overdub's just a mockery of the movie itself, and actually kind of makes it fun to watch. It makes me crack up every time, especially the scenes with the fog. Yeah, the fog scene's really funny. Now I'm going to talk about another German director, and his name is Olaf Ittenbach, and this is Primutos, Lord of the Living Dead. This is like it's a war. This is an epic wars like zombie movie. Like the zombie battle that takes place at the end of this movie is epic for a low budget film. Pretty decent special effects for being a low budget film. Zombies and chainsaws, you can't really go wrong. Storyline's kind of weird. Definitely a German film in every sense of the word. Definitely worth checking out, I would say, if you can happen to find a copy. And I'm going to go on to a box set here, which these movies aren't really related, but they're marketed as being sequels. You have Zombie 3, Zombie 4 After Death, and Zombie 5 Killing Birds, which Zombie 3 was Zombie 3. Zombie 4 was really just Zombie After Death, I believe. And this one was just The Killing Birds, which was a Joe D'Amato film. And I said I wasn't going to talk about Fulci, but that's kind of a lie, because Fulci was heavily involved in this film, and he kind of co-directed it with Bruno Mattei. But it's not a pure Fulci film. You can definitely see Fulci aspects in this, but this is a collaboration. This isn't a pure Fulci film, so that's why I decided to go ahead and talk about it. Good zombie effects in this one, by the way. Faster zombies. Everyone thought that fast zombies were a product of new zombie movies. No, that's incorrect. This is a fast zombie film from the 80s. And so fast zombies were not a new thing at the turn of the century. They've been around at least since the 80s. Zombie 4 After Death kind of feels like an unrelated sequel to Zombie 3, which is, I think, is part of the reason why it was kind of dubbed a sequel. And it was also directed by the writer of Zombie 3 and Nightmare City, which I'll get to Nightmare City in a minute. And so, I mean, maybe that's another reason why it feels like a loose sequel. Again, great makeup effects. Probably the coolest part's at the very end of the film. But I haven't really seen this one that many times. Can't remember that much about it. Other than it had some cool gore effects. And there's Zombie 5 Killing Birds, which it's classic Joe D'Amato. There's not a lot of zombie action in this movie, but the zombie action that is there is pretty cool. If you're a huge Joe D'Amato fan, I'd say this is definitely worth the title checking out. If you're a Joe D'Amato fan, I definitely recommend checking out this title. And I'm going to talk quickly about Dead Heat. This is a zombie comedy, which has Joe Piscopo in it, and this movie sucks. Vincent Price is featured in it too, it looks like, yes, in one of his final film roles, but this movie's horrible. One of the worst zombie movies I've ever seen. I'll pop it in just in time to time just for a laugh, but not a good movie at all. And I'm going to say this movie's extremely underrated. This is The Boneyard. And this is a cool little zombie movie that features some of the most interesting zombies you'll see. It's got little, like, pygmy zombies in it that run around that are really gory looking. And this film also features Phyllis Diller in it, which is a giant Phyllis Diller zombie. And you might think I'm giving away things about this movie, but not really, because, I mean, look at the front. The front shows one of the principal zombies in the movie, which is a giant killer poodle zombie. And that's worth the price of admission right there. The giant poodle zombie is awesome. It's one of the coolest giant zombies you'll see in a movie. And I definitely say, check this out. This is an awesome B-movie. You gotta go in, not expecting, to see a serious zombie film, but one of the best comedic zombie films of all time. And then there is Dave Parker's The Dead Hate the Living, which I believe I've also talked about this film a couple of times. Extremely underrated zombie film. It's a low-budget film. It's from Full Moon, but the special effects are great. The lighting effects are great. Very interesting storyline. Dave Parker was very influenced by Fulci on this, and this film has some great some great quotes from some great horror icons on it. Like at the beginning, on the front cover, Tom Savini, which says it's unique. On the back, the late great Chaz Baloon says this sucker rocks, a potential zombie cocktail loaded with style, wit, and high octane energy. And that's very true. This is a high octane energy zombie film. And I'm going to talk about the soundtrack for 1 second, because the soundtrack was done heavily by Penis Flytrap, which features frontwoman of 45 Grave, Dinah Cancer, who, I mentioned 45 Grave was on the Return of the Living Dead soundtrack. I'm going to move on to a couple of Japanese zombie movies. This is Junk, which the subtitle in the box is Everybody Fights. Starts off as a heist movie and turns into a zombie movie. Well, actually, it starts off as a zombie movie, then goes into a heist movie, and then back to a zombie movie. Interesting storyline, cool zombies. It's a Japanese zombie movie. I like Japanese things. I like zombies. It made sense for me to own that movie. Even more bizarre, Wild Zero, another Japanese zombie movie. And this movie features the Japanese rock, rockabilly, psychobilly, whatever kind of music you want to classify them as, band Guitar Wolf, which they're actually pretty good musicians. And they're featured in this movie. And it's a great movie, great zombies again, very interesting storyline. Kind of like if Plan 9 from Outer Space was done today in Japan. It's kind of what it would be like, in my opinion. There's music by Guitar Wolf in it, which I'm going to mention that Bass Wolf, unfortunately, is now dead. And it's kind of, it's very sad. I believe he died of an overdose. But again, this is a great movie. There's a lot of reoccurring things in this movie, like people combing their hair, people saying rock and roll in English but with a Japanese accent, and there's actually a drinking game on this DVD